This is a rubber pen. And now it's solid. I'll show you how to do this magic trick after the show. Welcome to the Rami Magic Show. I'm not a magician. I can't do a magic trick, but I do mortgage magic. I work the numbers, I work the policies, and I make the numbers work for you. Today we have a special guest. I met Christo last year to a transaction that we were doing together. I reached out to him and asked him to go out for a coffee. We ended up talking about everything and anything, but not real estate. We talked about the athletic mindset. We talked about business. And yes, we actually did talk about real estate, but not much. Christo played for the National Football League. He took a major risk in going to the US, and he's one of the only ones from Ottawa, from Canada, to have the perseverance, the grit, and the resilience to make it into one of the most prestigious football leagues in the world. He is now back in Ottawa as a successful real estate investor, real estate agent, and a businessman. Joining us now, Christo Bilukidi.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Good.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, 8 in the morning. That's why I like to get started, to be honest. I like our things early, so absolutely.
Good stuff. So we talked about the athletic mindset.
Yeah, sure.
That was a very interesting topic, and it resonated with me for a long time. I kept thinking about it. Every time I'm in a particular position, a stressful position, I think of the athletic mindset. What is the athletic mindset to you?
Well, I mean, whether you come from a team sport or an individual sport, you have to have, I don't know, it's like this, it's something that's almost like ingrained in you, you know? It starts at such a young age as well, too. It's almost like you want to succeed so bad, and you always want to figure out how to get there. And I think that's the biggest thing about the athletic mindset, is figuring out, like, getting to that journey, you know? And the journey is actually more valuable than the destination. So that's something to me that I've realized, you know, through my playing career, and then now transitioning into the business world, that whatever I want to achieve or whatever result that I want to get, the journey has to be the fun part. And I think that's the athletic mindset, is telling yourself that the journey is the fun part. You know, all the challenges and the trials and tribulations and everything that you go through that is not fun has to turn into fun, you know? So that's my interpretation of the athletic mindset. You know?
I can't remember who the author is, but I read a book once, and they said the best business school you can go to is to train for a marathon.
Sure.
Okay. I feel like every week it's like this for an athlete when he is training for the next opponent. How do you take that shift? How do you take that training into your business world right now?
Well, that author said, you know, training for a marathon. I say going through training camp.
Right.
If I had to explain someone how training camp went for all my years that I played, whether it was college football or the NFL, a lot of people, you know, ask me, how'd you go through it? And I think that's the key. You know, you're waking up every single day at 5 o'clock in the morning. So if training camp is about 5 weeks, yeah? So you wake up about 5 o'clock in the morning, you have your meetings, then you have breakfast, then you have your workout, meeting, practice, meeting, dinner, and then back to your room. So you're basically going from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day. And it's not going from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. just going to talk. You're going banging, you're hitting people, you're working out, you're putting your body through so much rigorous training. And it's not just the body, it's your mentality as well too, right? So how I get myself started every single day, like in this world right now in business, is I always think about training camp. Right. Because training camp is one of the toughest things that anybody will ever do and stuff. And it has definitely prepared me for sure.
How different is it from college?
Pros or talking about me right now?
transitioning from college to pros? Because in college you're also studying and you're going to class.
Sure. Yeah. You start to understand that once you get to the professional life, it's pure business.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally business, right? So what I was able to do in college and the things that I was able to kind of get away with in the pro life, you can't, right? Because everything it's like a microscope. Everyone is watching you. Everyone is watching your step. So going to college, like I said, you can mess up here and there and stuff, which, we're all human. So I've had my hiccups, right. But I get a second chance in college, whereas in the pros, you don't get a second chance because there's someone that's always trying to get your spot, right? So you have to be on pretty much 24/7, and that can be very stressful for sure. I've built some anxieties as well too when I was playing professional football. It's just that feeling that there's someone that's always coming after you and you can not be in a team literally the next day.
It's humbling.
It really is, man. Yeah. It really is. I give that analogy like this. Especially if you're a professional athlete, doesn't matter what sport. When you were a kid, let's say from elementary school to high school, even to college, you were always picked first, right? So if you're a kid playing dodgeball in the playground, guess what? They're probably picking you because you're most athletic. When you're in high school, you probably made the basketball team and you're the star captain. Right. When you're in college, same thing. You get a scholarship, so you're always being picked first. Now when you get to the pro level, you're like everybody else, right? So you don't have that prestigiousness of always being picked first. Of course, you have to work your butt off to get there, but you don't have that anymore. So it's a very humbling experience because you're not the top dog anymore.
That's what have you done for me lately, League?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's really interesting. Obviously in business, it's not always comfortable. It may not be as uncomfortable as training camp, but there are times that, things really hit the fan.
How
right?
Yeah.
Especially when you have, for a quick closing and all of that stuff. What I want to know is how are you able to change your mindset from, being down to just picking yourself up and making things work? Like, where do you get that perseverance?
Right. Unfortunately, like in football, if I'm mad or if I'm sad, I could hit somebody. But in real estate and business, I can't do that. But I will say that how I, think about turning my negatives into positives is I always look at there's a goal, right? Everything that I do is for a reason. And whether that reason is financially, whether that reason is, let's say emotionally to feel fulfilling, there's always a reason for me. And I always have to think about that reason, right? I can't always, if something negative happens, if I'm down, I can't tell myself, well, I got to quit and it's done. That's not in my DNA, right? My DNA is figure out the situation, okay? Get the result that you need to get, right, and then move on to the next one, right? So that's how I've managed to turn negatives into positives, especially, and it as well too. You're not only dealing for yourself, you're dealing with clients. Right. You're dealing with, big transaction. This is probably one of their biggest transactions in the world, right? In their lives that they're ever going to make. So it's still tough, right? Like I said, it's not football, but it's still tough, right?
It is tough. We talked about risk before the cameras went on. We talked about risk, and you came from the U.S. and you talked about how in the United States people are a lot more risky. Here, people are a lot more risk averse.
Right.
You came here to Ottawa and you took a few risks. You opened a couple of businesses. You obviously have. And we'll talk about that later. But you used your profile to have a strong reach in the community, and you helped kids develop. Can you explain a little bit the risks? Like how do you see risk? How do you look at risk, and how does that help you in your business?
I always say that you got to take calculated risk. You always want to be in a position where things are challenging. You always want to be in a position where where either people or just a certain situation and environment is trying you, because that's the only way you can grow as a person. I truly believe that if you are not challenged, you just think about like working out, if you want to grow muscle, what do you need to do? You need to challenge the muscles. You need to tear it down and stuff. It's the same thing for people. So for me, I've always been, I guess since I was a kid, I guess I've had always this mindset that I've always wanted to do something different, and to do something different is always going to be challenging, and you're pretty much taking a risk to do something different. And I did. When I was 17 years old, I left. I told my friends and my family that I'm going to go chase something that is damn near impossible. Right? We all know the numbers to make it into the NFL. It's damn near impossible for guys living in the U.S. Right. So imagine for guys living in Canada, right? Yeah, that's even astronomically impossible, right?
That takes grit.
It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of, like you saying, perseverance. But that's the risk for me that I've taken. And when you realize that you can achieve, then you're like, man, I'm pretty much invincible at this point. Like I can do anything I want. And that's why I try to, not try to push people, but I try to advocate, taking risks, right? Whether it's to kids that are underprivileged, whether it's through, people I do business with. I always tell them like, man, you have to find ways to tell yourself, okay, how can I get to the destination that I want to get to? And risk, you're going to have to take a risk no matter what. And I truly feel that that's the only way that you'll grow as a person.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You've done some community work. You've come here. You've used your reach to help others. How's that going for you?
Yeah, no, it's, I felt like I had to. When I was playing, I definitely didn't utilize my platform. I can tell you that right now, being very honest, being very transparent. I didn't utilize my platform the way I was supposed to use it. Mind you, it's maybe the maturity as well, too. When I was playing, right? I started playing when I was 22 years old. What does a 22-year-old with money know? Yeah. Nothing. And then when I stopped playing, I started realizing, you know what? I have this platform, even though I'm not playing in the NFL no more, I have a platform that needs to be shared and that needs to get exposed to the right people. So I was able to partner up with Ottawa Community Housing because I lived in Ottawa Community Housing for, a good part of my life with my mom and my sister. And we made a partnership where I became their ambassador. And obviously Ottawa Community Housing has a big reach, right? They're the biggest, if not, they're probably the biggest landlords here in the city of Ottawa. And I knew that with them, I can definitely reach as many underprivileged kids as I can, which I have and which I'm continuing to do. So now it's going well. I've just had a conversation, I think last week or 2 weeks ago with the CEO. His name's Stéphane Giguère. I had a conversation with him. I actually introduced him to another Ottawa member, which plays in the NBA. His name is Mariel Sheok, also from Ottawa Community Housing too. I played basketball with his older brother, so I know him very well. And we had a three-way meeting and stuff because I want Mariel, because he's got the platform now. He's got obviously the NBA logo behind him to now do the same thing I did, right? Because obviously kids need that hope, right?
Is he still playing?
Still playing, yeah. Okay. It's going to be his second year this year. He's playing for the 76ers. It was his last year. It was his rookie year. But he's full-time still playing. And like I said, he's back. He was back in Ottawa, so I got to connect with him. And I gave him that idea as well, too. I'm like, you have a platform just like I have I had a platform, right? So use that. Use it to now, reach out to all the underprivileged kids because they need it more than we do.
You're in Ottawa. You're in Ottawa full time now. How has the pandemic, how has COVID impacted your mindset during this, these troubling times, and how has it impacted your business? I mean, you're a full-time real estate agent. Yep. Right. You're also an investor.
Sure.
So you do help a lot of investors as well. How has COVID impacted you?
You know what? It hasn't impacted me in a negative way. I will say that. I can only say the only thing that has been troubling for me is I love to travel. right? So the fact that travel is, sort of restricted, that's the only thing that has impacted me negatively. Business-wise, things have been always the same. If anything, better, to be honest.
Right.
I chose to go to ExP Realty because I knew that the world is going to transition into tech. Everything is going to be done online. Everything is going to be done from the computer. I'm going to be working from home. So now that when COVID hit and everybody was forced to work from home, I'm like, well, I've already been doing this already. Right.
What is ExP Realty?
ExP Realty, man, it's an interesting brokerage. I guess it was, founded maybe 10 years ago, and everything is done through this, right?
Yeah.
Our offices are there, all our admins, that's how we contact the admins. They have an interesting brokerage because what they do is they give more to the agents. Because they have no overheads or minimal overheads, right? Whereas in the other brokerages, like the Remax and the Rolla Page, they have the overheads. So obviously agents have to pay, right? You have to pay for desk fees, all that kind of stuff. So when I saw that EXP doesn't have all those different things, and they also have access, you can still have access to everyone, I was like, absolutely, this is definitely a brokerage. And the thing too, it's growing.
Right.
I like to be a part of something that's growing, right? That's just who I've been. Like when I went to college at Georgia State, we're a brand new program, right? So I was the first ever drafted from Georgia State. I left a legacy there.
You're the first ever?
First ever drafted from Georgia State, yeah.
Wow.
So I left a legacy there, right? So when I saw how EXP is also growing as well too, I was like, same thing. I want to leave a legacy here because there's an opportunity to do so. So yeah, absolutely. EXP is an interesting brokerage. Nothing bad to say so far. Obviously, it's a learning curve for everyone that enters a new brokerage. But yeah, it's a good brokerage that if anybody's interested in ever joining, just let me know. I can definitely let them know about it.
Okay. Just going back to first ever from Georgia State. That's just how hard it is to make it to the NFL.
Yep.
And it just teaches you so much about perseverance and grit. One thing I do want to recommend, there's this book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. It's a great book. It talks about the mindset and keeping you strong, keeping your mindset strong, keeping you moving forward. I just wanted to get that off my chest. How has so I asked you about COVID. We asked about EXP, and everything is going virtual. But you still meet clients face to face, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're still showing homes and doing listing presentations face to face and all of that stuff.
Yep.
But everything on the back end is virtual.
Yes,
The
exactly.
paperwork, the assistant, the administrative stuff, all of that stuff. There's no overhead. There's no office space unless you get your own office space.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. How has COVID affected clients though? Like, do you feel like the market is, I know we had a very hot market, but how's the market shifting now? Is it slowing down or is it still?
Yeah, you're starting to see definitely slowing down, but just because it's slowing down, that doesn't mean it's decreasing. So, I'll just give a quick example. Now you're not seeing a lot of these listing holding offers, because holding offers was the thing to do, right? For the last, let's say, year. Everybody was holding offers because obviously with bidding wars, there's a lot of competition, and that's how sellers were getting more than for what they were asking, right? That's pretty much what was going on. Now what's going on is you're seeing less holding offers now, okay? But the homes are now, what's happening is they're priced at what the actual value is, right? So, for example, a home that's worth $700,000 is not going to be listed at $599, so they can get $750,000 or $800,000. It's going to be listed around that $700,000 range.
Right.
You're seeing that shift happening right now.
Over asking.
Exactly. Right. But it has happened. Like I'll give you an example. On my client, I listed their property on Monday, which was last Monday. I listed their property on Monday, sold $30K over asking, and we've listed at the market value what was going on in the area. We did some comparisons, similarities, and all that stuff, but we still end up getting $30K over asking price, right? And to be honest, myself and my clients were shocked, right? But obviously happy, right? And we're taking it and we're run with it. And one thing that I've realized now is all these buyers that have lost in all these different bidding wars is when they're seeing a property that's not holding any offers, they're jumping on it like, you know what, I don't want to go back in the market. They're probably afraid that the market is going to continue going up maybe in the springtime. So like, you know what, let's secure property right now. We'll pay extra 10, 20, 30 just to make sure we have that property because they don't want to keep competing anymore. So that's my theory of what's going on right now is buyers are still buying. It's just now on the selling side, on the listing side, you're not seeing people holding offers and you're seeing people putting it at actually what the market value is.
But there's still, the days on market is still under like 5 days for most cases, right?
For most cases, yeah. Like I said, I've had a client that we mutually know as well too, that, I've sold their condo in a week. Yeah. Right. So, and then, like I said, on Monday, I sold it within the day. So yeah, you're still seeing homes that are being sold, let's say within a week. Let's say within 7 days and stuff. Yeah, that's still happening.
So I have this theory that eventually, and I think we're seeing this now, but I feel like condos are going to start getting a lot more traction and becoming a lot more popular because a lot of people are priced out of townhomes. Okay. We're seeing decreased interest rates. But the qualification rate to get approved for a mortgage is still the same. Currently at 4.79%. So you basically have to qualify the 4.79. It doesn't matter. The bank doesn't care that the housing market is going up. For all, I mean, if you can't afford the city, then go in the outskirts. But then if you go in the outskirts, you have less options. So I feel like people are going to start buying more condos.
What type of condos, though? Are you saying like the apartment condos or the townhome condos?
2-3 bedroom condos, either the apartment or the terrace homes. When you say townhome condos, are you talking about the terrace homes?
Yeah. So yeah, it could be terrace homes, or there's you're seeing a lot of these. Well, I've been able to experience a lot of these townhome condos that are they're like townhomes, smaller, but they have condo fees. Right. So they're with a condo corporation, mind you. So a freehold townhome and a condo townhome, there's a significant in price, right? You're probably averaging for a townhome condo probably in the low 400,000s to high 300s. But then when you're going to freehold, now you're going into like the high 400s to like 5, sometimes even 6, right? You're going to Riverside South. There's townhomes out there for $650. So that's why I was asking if you're saying condo townhomes.
Like single homes almost.
Yeah, it's literally, absolutely, right? You're seeing it as well too. It's crazy, But what people are willing to buy now, what they're willing to buy now is they just want a secure place, right? That's what thing I realized with buyers. They just want a secure place. It doesn't even have to be perfect. I've I've sat down with clients now, many clients that they've also realized like, you know what, this place doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to have a few things that we need. And then we'll take care of the rest because of the low interest rate, right? They know that they're getting, something at such a low interest rate. So they're obviously doing their calculation with their payments and all that stuff.
You know what else I'm seeing is that people are holding on to their properties and buying another property because they want to take advantage of the increase in appreciation. Right?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And it's a great way to just build a portfolio. Yeah. So instead of selling your place and put a larger down payment on one place, just keep it, pull out some money, buy a new house, and let them both grow.
As long as you can make sure that the payments are covered and you've done your math correctly, because I've had, like I said, I'm an investor myself. I've had, tons of people come and talk to me about, investing in real estate. And the number one thing I always tell them is just make sure that your expenses are covered. All your expenses from, your secondary property. So if the expenses are covered and you've done all the math and you've seen the projections and everything, then yeah, why not? Why not? You'll have 2 properties that you can leverage in the future, right? And then whether you want to become a real estate investor or not, it's almost like, to me, I always tell people, having a mortgage on a property is like a savings account, right? You're putting it down, and then hopefully with the appreciation, you can actually pull out more to go do something else and stuff. So yeah.
I mean, the question becomes, do you want to be a landlord?
That is the major question, actually.
But, so
right?
what are the challenges of being a landlord?
You just have to deal with people.
You're dealing with different characters.
Absolutely, right? And so you're not only dealing with different characters, but it's still your home, right? You want to make sure that your home is in the best condition if you want to sell it in the future. So you have to be very vigilant, I'd like to say, about who rents your home. And then you want to make sure that person is paying on time, right? Good credit, good job. There's a lot of different factors in being a landlord, and a lot of people don't understand that. But I always tell people, the only way you'll understand is I can tell you my experiences, my stories. Yeah. But the only way to understand is to actually do it. Once you do it, then you start understanding what it is to be a landlord. And people take it differently. Some people, like my wife's mom, her parents, they were landlords before. They didn't have a good experience, so they said, forget it. We're not doing it anymore.
I see a lot of people like that.
Absolutely, right?
And it's always good to talk to somebody experienced, right?
Yep, so absolutely. Just to let them know.
Yeah, if your real estate agent happens to be an experienced real estate investor, that's just an extra bonus, right?
Absolutely. I take that, right? I love dealing with investors. I mean, don't get me wrong, I deal with all clients. But, my bread and butter is definitely with investors because I can speak the same language, right? I can tell them some of the experience I've had, so you can take whatever you get from me, and then hopefully you're successful in the investor world.
Good stuff. We talked a lot today. I think we should wrap this up. Any closing words, Christo?
Go and get it, guys. That's number one. Don't be afraid to take risk. That's what the world wants you to succeed. You want to succeed as bad as everybody else. And once you have that kind of mindset, watch, you'll soar, and you'll put yourself in a position that you never thought you would be in. I never thought I'd make it to the NFL, honestly. Honest to God. The NFL wasn't even in my mindset. But once I took the risk and it was there and it was, given to me, then I was like, I'm going all the way, right? So you never know what's going to be, what opportunity is going to present in front of you. But the only way you'll know that is if you take risk. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys off with is don't be afraid to take risks.
Risk and perseverance.
Yeah. Risk and continuing, not giving up. There's a lot of experiences. There's a lot of people that are going to tell you to give up. But if you listen to them, well, guess what? You're probably not going to succeed.
Exactly.
Once you block out the noise, I'm telling you, you're going to be in your own matrix. I like to call it, But absolutely, never give me up.
In the zone.
Yeah.
We talked about grit. We talked about perseverance. We talked about doing what drives you. What is it that makes you that wakes you up in the morning? What is it that takes you where you want to go? I recommended Grit by Angela Duckworth, and now I'm recommending Start With Why by Simon Sinek. These books have helped me just build a different mindset. Today we had Christo. He had grit and perseverance and resilience to be one of the only players from Canada to make it to the National Football League. And that's why we brought him on the show, to show you that you could also make it. And it's okay to want to change. It's okay to switch from one career to another if that's what drives you. Thank you for watching. I will be back next week, either solo or with a guest. I'll keep that as a surprise. And by the way, the magic trick, it's just a solid pen. That's the magic.